or grow it. From the Stash Podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? Do you want to get your hands on the latest From the Stash merch? Check the links below, get the From the Stash store, and go check to see the latest drop. We appreciate all the support, as always, and we will check you in the next epi.
This episode is brought to you by AC Infinity. The Ion Beam Kit is AC Infinity's full spectrum LED bar lighting. This kit includes a lighting controller, 4 LED grow light bars, and 4 steel bars that allow for flexible mounting on any part of the grow tent. Its unibody housing and aluminum board feature full spectrum Samsung LM301H white LEDs. And the beauty of it is you can integrate this with all of the AC Infinity products in your garden. And if for some reason you don't already have the Controller 6.9 Pro, well, this kit includes an innovative controller that features 4 brightness intensity levels and 4 daily timer settings. This LED is not only efficient, but very affordable, especially when using that discount code, TheStash15 at checkout.
Can transition us into our story today, because it's like, I feel like that's the problem, is it's getting harder and harder and harder to find good quality that hits all the check marks. You know, it's either really, really good looking and shitty and horribly priced, or it's reasonably priced, it's horribly looking and horribly tasting. It just never hits all three. And I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that means the death or collapse of the weed industry? What do you think?
Honestly, man, I think it's same with growing and same with dispos or stores or whatever the fuck you want to call them. Michigan, you can't call them dispensaries, but yeah, provisioning centers. In those cases, you got to look at it like this boom that happened. So during the Rona, we had the grow stores exploding. I mean, the all-time high in business because everybody's trying to grow. They're home, posted, can't go anywhere. So they're doing what they can do. The dispensaries also, they're essential businesses, right? They're all essential employees. So they're open and they're flourishing. And then all of a sudden, things change. Things teeter off. And now all of a sudden, Joseph says it's not a pandemic anymore. So everybody's chilling, back to work, everything's normal. And these businesses no longer are hitting that crazy mark they were before. So is it a collapse or is it a stabilization or a restabilization of the market? I think that's more my thought process. How about you fellas?
Yeah, it's really interesting to think that the legal weed industry would be collapsing, right? That there would be a decline because, you know, we work in the industry and folks that are tuning into this podcast, they consume or they grow themselves, right? And you would think that with the laws happening, more and more places legalizing, that business would just keep on going up and up and up. And that would be the way now as states continue to legalize, that business would go up and up and up, all the way up till federal legalization. It would continue to go up. And then maybe at that point kind of flatten out, but then slowly gain. We're not seeing that. So I can't even tell. I'm not going to release any names of companies, but there have been multiple companies that have reached out to me this year and said that they have seen a strong decline in sales. I'm talking lighting companies, equipment companies, companies that work on the consumption side of things. They're all seeing a huge decline in sales. It's nothing like it's been before. And companies are closing down now. Lux Lighting closed down. They're done. Wiped out. So they have seen a dramatic loss in business to the point where they can't even keep their doors open anymore. So they have to close down. And I have a feeling there's going to be several other companies that are going to join forces. That are going to do the same thing because we're seeing such a decline across the industry. So it's hard to think that that's actually happening. But this year, 2022, it is happening. Not going to say it's going to be in 2023, but this year there has been a huge decline. So
yeah, dude. And what's crazy is Lux sold for $215 million in January to Hawthorne. So part of me is like, did they close because of they're not selling enough, or did they close because Hawthorne is redirecting what they're doing? Because it's the same with like GrowGen for grow stores in Michigan. They're buying them all up, but all of a sudden now they're closing a bunch.
That's it.
So it's expansion, or are they tightening up?
They're tightening up. Yeah, you kind of touched on it. I'll touch on both that. The last thing you just mentioned, Rob, is, you know, Hawthorne purchased it for $215 million. Actually, shout out to Chris. I covered this story earlier this morning on my channel as a short. But what I'm seeing is it's Hawthorne. They've got money to burn, man. And they haven't just purchased one lighting company. How many lighting companies does Hawthorne own? At least 3. So it only makes sense that if you're going to scoop up all the competition, you're then going to determine who is the competition. If one company doesn't seem to have what the other one has, then they're going to remove it. They're going to consolidate it. They're going to take professionals from this area and implement them in this area and push them over and so on and so forth. Is it good? Is it great? Is it bad? Like I said in my short, I think only time will tell. I don't think big money is bad. I just think how you use it can be bad. So that's kind of the thing. I think it's more of them just trying to buy up as much of the competition as possible. Now, this isn't the first time we've seen this before. If we recall the gold rush, there was a time when a few people found a little bit of gold up north in Alaska, and next thing you know, thousands people quit their jobs. They left everything behind to go find gold. Before the gold was even found, or before the masses really jumped on it, the price of investment for people to find gold skyrocketed. People were throwing money at it, hoping that they would be able to be the ones or get the people that would find the gold. Well, it's the green rush right now, and it's the same thing. Before anyone has found the green, we're all throwing money at the situation to anyone who gives you the best sales pitch. You don't have to be a good investor or a grower. You don't have to be a good businessman. You just got to give the best sales pitch. And if you can, then you can take in the most amount of money. And that doesn't mean it's going to work. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now is this mass excitement about an industry by everyone and their dog. But the reality is that not everyone and their dog can participate in this industry. It needs more than money. You need knowledge. You need connections. You need to understand the market. There's a lot that goes in. You got to know how to grow the weed in a lot of cases too, because it doesn't grow on trees all by itself. So, that's what I really see is happening. It's the green rush, and everyone is going towards it. But at the end, only a few are going to be the ones that can handle it.
Well, and we also got to. Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say there have been a lot of people that I've come across that work in the industry. Whether I be take on a sponsorship through a brand or talking with a brand about a potential sponsorship, or MJ BizCon the past several years where I've been, and just talking with these folks. A lot of folks don't even smoke. They're not even from the industry. And they're coming in from a completely different industry. They're trying to take what they learn there and implement it. Some of it is successful, right? They're able to successfully implement, but a lot of things just don't actually jive with this particular industry. And I think probably Rob can probably speak more about this than me, because now he's working with a commercial facility and he deals with a whole bunch of companies across the US. And I'm not sure if it's international as well, but the amount of people that don't even consume but are working in the industry, I think that's harming things as well, because they don't have a true understanding of what's going on.
That's so bad. It's so bad. The majority of people don't consume, and if they do, it's very, very, very light, but yet they're the decision makers in a lot of cases. But I think the biggest issue is everybody wants to increase their margins. It's all about margins and margins and margins. We can get the most out of everything instead of having a better product and process, and then the price can make sense. That's where I think it is the biggest focus. And you see a lot of commercial grows different than, let's say, grow stores, where commercial grows try to do the most right out of the gate, as where a lot of grow stores were laundering areas for fucking home grows, and caregiver systems. So they didn't want to blow the fuck up. They just wanted to do decent. But when it goes to the point where you can't make any money and can't put in orders for these products, or companies are closing down because Lux and stuff, because they're not meeting their margins, then those companies can't exist. As we're a commercial grow, you can keep going and just pivot and work with the market. But if you're not in the market, you don't work with the market. You just literally go with dollars and cents, profit and loss statement, and not really looking at the community. They're looking at the industry. Now, with Franklin Fields, a company I work with, they started as caregivers, so they had knowledge that they brought into it. But at a certain point, some of it I feel got hung up at being in that early 2000s caregiver market of HIDs, weight, initial quick smell without the long-term cure, and look, because that's what sells. And then putting in genetics no one's ever heard of, because as a caregiver, your patients are going to keep coming back to you. Versus as a business, you got to kind of go with what the market wants, but also bring good quality product. So that balance is really hard to find on a commercial level, because you need to meet numbers. You need to provide product that's quality. You got to pass testing, which is a bitch in a lot of cases, compliance, all these things, but then go back to your roots of having good fucking weed. That's the number one thing. And that's what's missing in most cases. Just not having good weed. You can learn your process and all that, but growing good weed is growing good weed. You got to get that down first, you know?
I often get asked, like in the comment section, or people, the statements in the comment section, that legalization is the collapse of the weed community, market, industry. As we start to put more taxes and regulations and restrictions on it, you know, it ruins that laissez-faire, the hands-off, the kind of just the peaceful hippie appeal of weed, and what it's kind of the culture that it's held on to for so many years. So is legalization in its form leading to the death of the industry, or can we use it as a tool to bolster the industry?
Well, I think it's being abused, and it's because they set these restrictions where you got to have so much liquid assets. You can't be a felon, even if it's a stupid felony. You can't have so many different situations that will keep you out of this market. And it's really been, they disenfranchise the cannabis community. Like they make it so we can't get into this shit unless we know a rich person, unless we can have a random backer who's going to help us and take care of business. Because like even on the black market side or legacy market, we'll say here in Michigan, they're like trying to compete with the commercial grows and vice versa in terms of like they want to have that purple bud, the names of what like crazy exotic names that don't yield a whole lot, but they still want to compete in that market. But it's like you guys are aiming for not us, you're aiming for cannabis curious, and you're aiming for people who aren't already here, and it's disrespectful in my opinion. Versus looking at legalization of saying how can we get these people who've been in it and move them up to the point of being the leaders of this space. They should be the leaders of this. Like you and I should be running this shit. Like now that Trey and Wink are in with us, it's like I walk into the company, I'm like, boys, we got a mission here, and this ain't just for us. This is community. Like this doesn't happen. This opportunity for people like us to get into this space, it doesn't happen. I don't know anybody who was like been doing this for years and finally found this family company of caregivers and we're good people who pushed us into this place. It's rare. So it's like this could be the pivoting moment, but not every state has that opportunity. Not every place does. And that's why I constantly push for people in the chat and all the viewers. Shout out Games of Snakes and there's people who just came in over on Twitch to put your hat out there, man. Your fucking Instagram could be your portfolio and your resume.
It is in many cases. It shouldn't be, but it can be. I want to take a moment here. Two things. I just want to say, huge shout out to Games with Snakes over on Twitch, guys. If you don't know, if you're watching this on YouTube, we actually stream these episodes live on Twitch every single week. You can come check us out Thursdays, typically around 1 p.m. Central, 2 Eastern, and 11 Pacific. And you can come influence the conversation by just participating in the chat. Games with Snakes over on Twitch. Awesome guy. Just hit us with a raid. Huge raid. Tons of people watching. We appreciate you for coming in here, man. That's a lot of love. We appreciate you. So we're over on Twitch at From the Stash. And if you guys are here on Twitch, we're actually over on YouTube at From the Stash. You can come check us out and come listen to us and come see the edited version of these videos. Chris, did you have something to add? Because I do want to just touch on what Rob said.
You go first.
Touch on everything.
I think you're right. Now, when it comes to the idea that the position of legalization is being abused, but I also think that we're seeing that that turn is happening now. The Chads, the Brads, the Karens, I'm sorry, they took control of this industry at the very beginning, you know. And what do I mean by that? That's the investment money. That's the money that took control of the industry at the beginning. No one knew what they were doing. They just had money. Money doesn't grow weed. It doesn't. No, at all. And we started to figure that out. And I'm starting to notice now that pivot in Canada where the legalization is realizing, okay, there can't be this many restrictions. It has to be open to everyone. It is good that we're still trying to get to the moms and the dads that aren't in the industry because we want them. We want them to. Cannabis is good, despite what you might be hearing from other people. It's great. It's medicine, and it's something that should be celebrated. But at the same time, there's already a culture that has already existed. We've already built an infrastructure. This legacy market exists and has existed. And in fact, it has regular forms of competition. You know, you're not the only one selling, you know, your product. You got the guy down the street. You got that guy down the street, you know, that guy down the street. So you can't charge $25 a gram because it just won't cut it. It has to be $10 a gram. It has to, or less. or it won't sell. So the market already exists. It's just we're putting the wrong people in charge. We had in Canada, we had Tony Blair, which was the chief of the Toronto police, running the cannabis legalization committee. It's like, what the fuck does he know about cannabis? This is the guy that's literally imprisoned people for medication. So what the hell does he know? Nothing. But now this is that pivot I'm seeing, because now we got a guy like Rob working for a marketing industry or working in the industry where it's like, wait a second, now we're taking a guy from the culture, from the industry, from the community, and we're going to see if maybe he can reevaluate or take a look at this and see if we're doing okay. Sorry, long-winded.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, dude, because I've been incarcerated I spent my whole fucking teenage years in juvie over small amounts of bud. I mean, a little bit, small amounts in terms of harvests for people, but that's irrelevant. Statute of limitations. Main thing is, in this day and age, it's not as worth getting into it. Just like when people are like, man, what's your first tip for being a content creator, for your plants? And I'm like, just don't do it. That's probably the best thing. Just like when people are like, man, I'm going to get into the legal industry. It's like, make sure you have a passion for this shit, because it's not about the money. Trust me, I'm seeing the profit and loss statements. I'm not going to put people's business because I got NDA, but it ain't about the money, baby. It's about helping people. It's about doing something you're passionate about, going to work and not feeling like you're at work, and doing what you've always wanted to do if you're a grower or consumer, and helping other people with it. It's like, that's true wealth, in my opinion. If you can get paid at all and do that, is amazing. But the grow stores are struggling more than the commercial spaces, in my opinion. And that's us home growers. So that's what's crazy to me, is like, how are they struggling so much? What are we doing different? I will say the revolution, so to speak, of organic growing, massive. And I love it. But it's hurting a lot of these grow stores that rely on your everyday nutrient guys, LEDs that don't need bulbs that are being changed as often. Why are you going to the grow store? You don't need it. Most grow stores don't have those. They don't have these brand new LEDs. They got a couple of them, but not the Chill Tech, or not Spider Farmer or Mars, any of these, So it's like, the grow stores are hurting, in my opinion, more than commercial grows are. Commercial grows are doing okay. They're just, a lot of them are greedy, and they just want to make 500 to 600% markups. Taxes are a bitch. Restrictions are a bitch. I mean, for example, we're getting fucked with my company for using the word dispensary, describing our place as that, because you're not allowed to, according to the CRA, which, funny enough,
How dare
the guy
you?
who runs our CRA is a director, or was a director, or the leader of fucking the Detroit Police Department. So, great guy to help regulate here in Michigan. Perfect.
Even on the content creation side of things, we're seeing a decline, right? I mean, all three of us, our views have gone down this year, and it's in a direct correlation to what these companies are experiencing on their income statements, right? And I think it has to do with a couple of things. Number one, oversaturation. You've got more and more people coming in trying to create content, right? So I think that's one thing, and just less people being interested in it, and the laws aren't changing as quickly as we would like it to go. So we are seeing that decline in popularity. But hey, maybe if laws start to pass, we'll start seeing those spikes again. But I think I can speak for all three of us when I say that we've seen a pretty significant decline this year in the number of views, comments, all that stuff. So
Yeah, and the thing is, though, is there was a time when you could enjoy freely putting this kind of content on the internet. There was a time, believe it or not, it was pre-2018, and there was no worry in the world in terms of, I never heard of age restriction. I had never heard of, suppression. I heard of it. But I hadn't experienced it as a creator before. And then 2018 came, and things changed. Things changed a lot. And so there's a number of factors that go into that. But I strongly believe that it's the same year that Canada went legal, believe it or not. That was the year that Canada legalized recreational cannabis for the masses. And again, multiple variables, but it seems as if, perhaps corporate opinion kind of had something to say in regards to whether or not this is something that should be enjoyed or not, So, yeah, there was a time. But I definitely, I don't know if it's because of lack of interest, though. Because I just feel that, when you have to walk through a brick wall to get to the other side, You know, I don't think that the excuse is, you know, interest. I sorry, that was a horrible analogy. I just think that like it had no sense. That was a good rip. I'm just thinking that like the interest is there. It's just the people aren't able to watch it. Is what I'm trying to say. There's a wall. Like they can't see what's going on the other
True
side.
story. Yeah, the age restrictions, the suppression that's going
that's what I'm
on with
trying to
all
say.
these platforms. Okay, yeah, no, you bring up a great point. Maybe that's it.
That's probably the biggest thing, because when my video is not age restricted, it does great. When it's age restricted, it doesn't. It's pretty straightforward, it seems, you know. But it's a bummer because it's more of those things. Is it being hindered by a conscious mind or not? Like right now, I've got a shout out to Christopher with 2 F's and a K over on YouTube. He's my plug right now on YouTube, working on getting me a plaque, getting a little silver plaque, because I guess I was approved, I qualified for it, but there's an error, some sort of technology-based thing that will not allow me
algorithmic
to do it.
Which then again, okay, you and I kind of had this. Now this is like this is
tinfoil do-rag.
I think it's algorithmic, man. I honestly don't believe there's a human that's stepping on the cannabis industry. I believe this is just what the corporate algorithm has been set up to take down. You know, when you have now again, tinfoil stuff, you've got huge influence from companies like Pfizer, Johnson and Johnson. These companies have interests in the pharmaceutical market. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they also have very large pockets when it comes to influence and lobbying governments. So it's like, again, I don't want to get into any real conspiratorial stuff, but it's like it just makes you question whether it's really because you think it's like, who runs YouTube? People in California. Who smokes weed? People in California. You know what I mean? Like there's almost a disconnect. There's something else at play, and I don't know how to explain it. That doesn't sound like I'm coming up with some weird conspiracy.
Dude, it'll all come out eventually. It's just the problem is we're a disenfranchised community. You know, it's like the whole cannabis community has been put in jail and prison, has been fired from jobs, has lost their children, have lost their assets, have been shunned out of society over a plant. And we're still now, as it's being legalized, are getting fucked with. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating.
So will legalization change? Will legalization change that? Because I feel like here's the liberal in me, and I get a lot of criticism for this, but it's like I do believe in proper regulations. I do believe that there should be a market, that people, you know, it should be a fairly even playing field, and then people can go from there. You know what I mean? I don't think that you should have extraordinary fees for applications, for example. And why are there because there's no set regulation, there's no set amount saying that you can't pay more than $1 million to get a license to be a huge farm. You have to jump through these ridiculous hoops to get to and why? And this changes every time there's a new government, every time that there's a new cabinet or a new council it changes. Well, if you just set it in fucking stone and say it has to be this way, no one can influence that. So again, that's a very mundane version of what I'd like when it comes to regulations. But I do think legalization would allow that, you know, some positive regulation that would allow for a free market. You know, and if you don't think that our free market is regulated, you've got another thing coming. So it's like, I just add it, put it in. That's all I'm saying, is just treat weed like everything else. Everything else is regulated. Just add it in there. So,
well, it's like another, you know, I guess this is Michigan only, but other places probably deal with this too. We've got this piece of shit company called Skymint. Oh, it's Green Peak Innovations, and they own a bunch of different dispensaries. They purchase mom and pop ones, good people's places. They lobbied against growers with an organization called the MCMA, trying to change our rules and our regulations that we voted on. But they know better because they, you know, are boys club. So these fucking assholes, they've stacked their licenses so they can have tons of different dispensaries all over, like 2 or 3 in one city. And they bought, you ever heard of Aldi's store? Do you got Aldi's around you? Is that just a Michigan thing?
I've heard of it. Yeah.
So it's like a small store, like a decent chain of stores. They bought their distribution center for a fucking factory, a weed factory of mids. It's crazy. A whole factory of straight up mids. And for some reason, people who I fuck with, even Goblin motherfucker, quit going there, will go to that fucking dispensary and support them. And a lot of it is about, well, we can't vote on a lot of things. We can use our money how we want to use it. And so if we stay the mom and pop way, if we stay as legacy market as we can, or if it is a dispensary, it's one again like Boco, a little biased because I fuck with him, but one that's for caregivers, that's about caregivers and patients, and that shows love to the community versus dealing with some shit that's like literally multi-state operating companies who don't care about you, who don't care anything about the plant, the product, or anything, and the person who's running it doesn't even smoke. So it's like we can control that area. It's the same with going to grocery stores. Like, know the grocery store you're going to. They may be connected to a larger company that's owned by another larger company that's a big piece of shit, and we're just funding them by going to get our needs and essentials because we got to get it. But there's other options, and I think that's the only way we could do anything nowadays is redirecting our energy and our money to help the better ones that need it. Even if it costs just a tiny bit more, it's going to be something that's going to help. I mean, as a home grower, like, spend a little bit more money on the local one that you can instead of trying to just order everything on Amazon. You know, I know I've stopped ordering shit from Amazon, and specifically as much as I can try to get it from Trey at the grocery store, which now he's not at the grocery store. He's with me. But yeah.
I think overall legalization will help increase the interest, or more and more people will kind of come on board, right? Because there are some people out there that, since it's illegal, they shy away from it. So once it's legal and approved by the government, then they'll go towards it, right? So it should spark interest. It should spark more popularity or whatever in the industry. But one thing that I think that could prevent with the collapse, and Pete kind of already touched on this a little bit, is the laws behind it, right? I mean, you touched on specifically the cost to get into it, right? Thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars application fees in order to get into it. In my state, you need $250,000 in your bank account in order to even be considered to have your own dispensary. The number of licenses are limited, and by state to state, it's not consistent. So there's no consistency. I'm seeing in the dispensary, and Pete kind of already touched upon this a little bit, which was like the $25 gram versus the $10 gram. And some companies are lowering their prices, but I do see price gouging happening with some of these companies, right? So $80 Ace, I see, like, what the hell? And then you're seeing other dispensaries saying, oh, well, they're selling an eighth for $80. I'm going to sell an eighth for $80 too. So like some of these companies are kind of teaming up. I know this is highly illegal. You shouldn't be doing this, but increasing prices altogether because they're getting, they're spending all this money on application fees, licensing fees, taxes. They've got all these pressures to make more money to increase their margins. And unfortunately, it would be good to legalize. We just need better laws to make things more fair, so that will actually lower the prices in the long term, make things better for the customer long term, rather than seeing an increase in prices and trying to see companies increase their margins or make up for their lost costs of taxes and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
There's $80 ounces here in Michigan. Like the state to state is nuts, bro.
And of course, this is a great argument to why no matter what happens, you should be growing your own. And I think that's what gets us age restricted so fucking much, is because we are advocates for gardening and cultivating your own product. And again, like, this is something that I get criticized a lot for, is how much I'm in favor of legalization, regulation. We're just talking about the price to get in to play the game. Let's pivot 100% and say, well, let's talk about the quality of the fucking product at the end, man. If you had I get frustrated about this because people just can't get it through their heads that people aren't in this for your best interest. Once they get into this, it's profit. That's why there needs to be this kind of regulation around construction agencies, around medication, around the food industry. Just think about if there was no regulation on what people could inject into your steak or your beef, your cow, your chicken. That's three of the exact same thing. Your fish, your chicken. People are doing it, but it's not being fed to the masses because it has to go through a very rigorous restrictions. It's got to go through testing, quality control. There's a ton of that does not happen in the cannabis industry at all. There's this product that's plucked from a tree, put in a bag, and sent to your local dispensary for you to pay 80 an eighth for. Fantastic. Little do you know they use radiation to help speed the curing process, or they sprayed a bunch of pesticides during flowering because they had some kind of bug. Like, there should be some rule out there that holds people accountable. If you're going to poison people, that should be against the law. and it not necessarily is. So that's the thing that I think that we can point towards getting to a system that supports good quality product for people. That should be the two top things: the person ingesting and the product that they're ingesting. That should be the most important thing every single time, and it's not. That's why, in my opinion, the industry is on a collapse. It is falling inwards because it's not the people that consuming the product that have the biggest voice. It's the people selling the product that have the biggest voice, and that makes no sense to me.
Well, I
Couldn't
will
have said
agree.
it any better myself.
I'm going to counteract that and say, actually, there's the most vigorous, restrictive, crazy testing ever from here to Canada, hence that remediation shit. Because if it comes up with any slight drop of anything, it won't pass testing and can't go to market. So what happens a lot of times is these guys will slide it through by paying a shady testing company, which there's companies who do that, and they'll pass their shit even though it's not testing to pass. But otherwise, you'll see that remediation, because what they'll do is before they send it in, they'll essentially nuke the bud so that way there's no trace of any sort of microbe or bacteria or anything, and they could send that out and it'll pass testing. But it also fries everything else off. People will buy remediation machines to use in their grow, because if they don't and they get a negative test or a positive test, send it back, they have to put that on their package that it was retested. So then people won't pay as much. So it's like,
so you're telling me that happens across the country?
Yeah, like almost every state has this. It's like they're adopting what California has done.
Every single every dispensary across the country is doing this?
For the most part, but like I said, most of them are able to. There's these fucking places, these testing facilities.
I don't think that's the case. I honestly don't think that. I don't think that most of the weed that's being smoked in a dispensary is going through half of what you just described.
Look it up.
Well, yeah, sure, we can read that.
But that's what I'm saying.
If
like,
you're telling me people are paying for shady testers, what makes you think that they're not smuggling weed from some fucking place in Cambodia? Because that's what they're doing here in Canada. They got busted in 2014 for getting weed from the States to sell on the streets, and they didn't get in trouble for it.
Places probably do it, but there hasn't been any caught doing it. The main thing is like you'll go to these little, I'm not going to say names of places, but some dispensaries that have a lot of stuff for dirt cheap, $3 a gram all the way up to $10 a gram, and there's shit that's so moist, you're like, what the fuck? How did this pass testing? And like, oh, it probably didn't. They probably just paid that company extra.
There should be a consistent process from the moment you put a seed, just even before that, to ensure that the environment is even regulated. It should be from seed to soil, or from seed into soil to harvest to the shelf. There should be that stable regulation. And if I see in the comments says, "Yep, the big ones do this," oh great. What about the rest of them? What about this craft? What about like the lower priced weed that's on the shelf? Why is it lower priced? If it's lower priced, or what about the weed that's being shipped over to the UK? Is that premium weed, or is that like we have this company in Canada called Winners, where they just sell really high end clothing, but that's the shit that the threads broke on the machines, and they like the shoe will fall apart as you're running mid step. Yeah, it's Gucci, but the glue was no good. So it's like, is that the same thing that's happening with weed across the state? We don't have this steady regulation.
It is.
And then
you're totally right.
If you say yes, we do have that. If you have that,
and there's there, but it's not good.
That's it. If we have this, this is not a good process then, because then it's over regulated, which is even worse than under regulated, because it's over regulated for whom? So anyways, much less conversation, but
that is, who's it over regulated for? Not the consumer, because what happens is with the crazy taxes, the crazy restrictions, who gets fucked in the end? The person getting the bag, the seed, the light, the soil, whatever it is. Who gets screwed? Always the consumer. We put tariffs on another country. Who gets screwed? The consumer. This is just what it is. And this keeps going back where this industry needs to get to the community, because there's people here who will spend tons of money happily, whether it's for their own grow or to help fund someone else's grow. Just want to be treated properly and taken care of properly, and not lied to and have to double check their shit and look at something on a shelf and then get a whole different thing and it not weigh correctly. I've had literally situations where there's been grams and grams missing, or a whole ounce missing at places before, where I'm like, what the fuck? How am I back in the streets? Because this doesn't happen at professional places. I don't go to Walmart and all of a sudden half my groceries are missing. I'm like, oops, sorry. It's like, what the fuck? Or all of a sudden the food that I picked up, they swap out with some moist shit or some overly dry shit that has no smell. I'm like, why do I have to do that? Why can you buy, alcohol and go home and it's the same flavor, Captain Morgan or beer, but my flour, I got to question. Again, that's the home grow argument. Home grow, but it's not as easy for everybody. So people need to tighten up, man. This industry's not, I don't think it's collapsing. I think it's tightening. And I think the cream's going to rise to the top. I'm hoping.
Yep. Yeah. I sure hope
What
so.
a conversation. What a great conversation today, huh?
It was. And of course, like any conversation, we want to pass the question to you guys. A lot of interaction in the chat here today here on Twitch, and we appreciate it. Some agree, some disagree. We want to hear from you, whether it's in the comment section on YouTube, whether it's here on Twitch, anywhere. Please feel free to leave your opinions. If you're watching here on Twitch, we're over on YouTube as well, From the Stash. It's just From the Stash. We shed the podcast part, so I hesitate every time I say it. So it's From the Stash. Come check us out on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube watching, we go live every Thursdays at about 1 p.m. Central, 2 Eastern, and 11 Pacific. You can come check it out with us at twitch.tv/From the Stash. Thanks to all the love in the chat too. We appreciate the subscriptions. It's gone crazy. Ohm Grower came in. Again, I want to give a huge shout out to Games of Snakes for that raid. That was really huge. But should we cap this on? Oh yeah, and Enigma Clouds. Yeah, thank you. Do we want to outro
We
this
do
one?
a smoke sesh after the fact here on Twitch, so stick around if you're on Twitch. And Rob, you want to say so?
Rob?
Well, with that being said, it's your boy Rob, Pigeons, Mr. Grow It, and Wink on the ones and twos. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time. Stay lifted.